Good evening. Ira Epstein, and here we are with your SPDR ETF stock market wrap-up. And this is for Tuesday, May 6, 2025. What an interesting day. I hope you watched the press conference that the president had with Mark Carney, the new premier of Canada. It was actually a good one, all right? Again, he couldn't, and I'm talking President Trump can't resist saying the 51st state, Canada, we'd like to buy it. And I think it was more in a jovial sense anyways, because Carney eventually hit him back by saying, well, not everything's for sale in real estate. And the president said, you know, well, that's not necessarily true. And he said, okay, what if we want to buy the White House, basically? And you got where it was going. And I think that's good news. The president also had, I hope, be up to date on the fact that Canada's expanded its export business, not to us, but to other areas, by 25% over the previous month. So while the trade with the U.S. is falling, they're opening other markets, and that's very crucial to them. So, you know, they're our good friend, our neighbor. This thing's got to come down. Let's talk about a few things that are going to move the markets. By the way, before I get any further, remember, my S&P SPY report is on the website. I checked, it goes off on Wednesday. After that, Wednesday, it's off. You won't be able to get it again. Just go to iraepstein.com. Nothing could be simpler. Ira Epstein, my name with no space in it, .com, and you'll have it. There'll be an icon up here you can also click during the video. All right, so let's take a look at news, as I said, because that's where I really want you to come. We get the Mortgage Bankers Association at 6 a.m. numbers. We're going to see the economists, well, not the economists, we're going to see the Federal Reserve come in at 1 o'clock with their statement, at 1:30 the press conference. I don't know of one analyst that is looking for the Fed to make a cut in May. So I think you're just going to sit there and just stay where you're at. And I think the question is, what does he say? And what can he say? I am of the opinion, I want to go on record with you, that the Fed is going to turn its attention away from inflation and focus more on labor, especially if we start seeing that the unemployment rate starts climbing. I think anything near 4.4, 4.5 gets the Fed to make a cut. We're not there. We're at 4.2, so it's not at that point. The Federal Reserve is going to release their consumer credit data while the press conference is going on. That's at 2, but this is the big news of the day. Senior U.S. and Chinese representatives are going to meet face-to-face this weekend in Geneva. Now, it's not low-ranking people. Secretary of the Treasury BETZ, Jameson Greer, they're going to meet counters like themselves there. So while the president keeps saying they're talking, and China says they're not talking, and then China said, we want to be treated with respect and so on. I think when the U.S. reached out last week to China, that was the respect they wanted to see. And I'd mentioned that we're the guys that created the tariff war. And at least they're talking. I don't know what that means. Are you aware that India struck into Pakistan, 9 different sites with missiles? Pakistan says they shot down 2 jets. I don't know what's true and not true, but you don't need these 2 nuclear neighbors going at each other. So something you have to think about. Okay, so let's go to the chart action and let that tell us what's going on. You know, the motor companies up a little bit. After the close, by the way, we saw Rivian. I didn't like the numbers that you had there. They're going to produce less cars. They got a little less cash they're predicting at year end. I'm not hearing anything good. They need their other car to come on. Now, I do know that it was all over the Illinois news, and I happen to live in Illinois, that they have got the state of Illinois to give them $12 million, and they have putting up another chunk. So they bought a $120 million park next to their factories where manufacturing of parts for them. That's where the manufacturers that make the parts for the Rivian can locate. They can stock, they can manufacture. So this is going to be a big area. They're in Normal, Illinois. We have a university there, but the land is not as expensive as around Chicago. As we take a look, though, at what else is going on, Carvana down a little bit, Amazon down. Netflix made back a little after this craziness about the president and the tariffs that he wants to put on foreign movies. Hollywood is bashing it from every sector I can see. They're telling the president, you're doing it wrong with tariffs, give us tax credits. That will bring the production to the United States. There are certain things in the movie industry you can't do in the U.S. Where are you going to shoot White Lotus? I heard that today. In Marriott, I mean, it doesn't make sense. AMC, not doing much. Gold was up a big one today. NVIDIA down. Now, Palantir got smashed today, double-digit loss. AMD, after the close came out, better earnings, a good-looking number, up 3 to 4%. That was in after-hour trading. So you're getting mixed bags going on there. When we look at AI, I brought this on because I thought the market could have a problem up here, and we'll see how the picture wants to develop. Well, here's what's happening with the current action since I started bringing it on. Now you have lower highs, lower lows. So the trend is turned down, but you're over the 18-day average of closes, which is right here. When you're over the 18-day average and you get a sell like that, it often means price wants to go down to that major moving average and figure out what it's going to do. It doesn't always work that way, but that's how I'd look at it. The Bollinger Band top is right up here. So even if you came out and took out the 2270 level that you made on Friday, when I look at that, the resistance is still 70 cents away. I think it's going to slip back there and fight a battle at that number. What else do we see in it? If you take a look, you lost the bullish embedded reading ability. Let's go back and look in time. Did you have that number as embedded yesterday? You did. Both numbers were over 80. The day before, they were over 80, and the day before, which tells me that when you lose that, unless you gain it back tomorrow, and then I would call it a bear trap, unless it's gained back tomorrow, first thing I expect is price and the 18-day average to make the run at each other. In Sprouts Farmer, the SFM, by the way, that symbol's like a Swiss franc of June in the futures market. But higher lows, higher highs. Also, you lost the bullish embedded reading. So before you go over this high, I think the market is prone to come back to wherever that 18-day average is. In Avgo, you had gotten up to the 100-day average in the Bollinger Band. You're still friendly, this market. This was not a spot to take everything off until you get the red line closing under 79. I think any further weakness tomorrow, I think the pros will step in and initially try to buy it and see if they can drive the market up. Otherwise, they'll back away. You're trying to get a bullish crossover right now where the 18-day average is going to get over, as you can see, the 200-day average. If the market's not down hard tomorrow, it could happen tomorrow. In Google, still have higher highs, higher lows. You're overbought, not embedded. You're trying to get that done. A lot of resistance up here at the 167.05 level right now. Netflix, embedded reading. So until it's lost, these type of breaks you get in the market are probably getting looked at very hard by the boys that want to still be long the market and think that this market still has room. It's come up so much that you got to be a bit cautious up here. As long as you're embedded, I'm fine. The moment that red line closes under 79, adios, goodbye. It's far away from it at 91.36. Robinhood backed away from the upper Bollinger Band. As I told you, I'm looking for support at the 100 and the day average of closes along with the 18. The 18 got over it today. That is still a good support zone. Now, if it closed under both, that would get me concerned that maybe the market won't slip back to 38.63. From here, that would be $10. Wouldn't be an easy break to accomplish that with. I look for the support at 45.43 to 45.24. I am not friendly to the energy companies, period. I still am worried about recession. I'm still worried about when will a deal get done. I read an article today that said very seriously by good authors, don't expect any signing of deals to the end of the year. And then I read articles that it could be in this month that we'll see some first deal signed. It's very confusing and very difficult, but it is not friendly the energy complex. So you're fighting a battle. You have a downtrend, but you're fighting. At the 18-day average, you're already down to oversold territory. Why spend money when you don't have to? There's better areas to look. You're still embedded in stocks. That's bullish, not bearish. So this pullback is one that I'm going to take a look at in the morning to see what I want to do. We saw the AMD, we've seen the Palantir come out. You know, NVIDIA's right around the corner. That's the granddaddy. What's it going to do? You got Jensen Huang everywhere talking about a $50 billion market in China with AI that the U.S. is going to be locked out of. And he doesn't think American corporations should be locked out of it. And what he's right on is this. You're not going to stop the Chinese from doing what they want to do. You haven't been able to stop them since World War II. What makes you think you're going to stop them now? I am not saying you've got to sell them your top products. You don't sell them your top U.S. jets for military purposes. So there are things you can do to ease this. When you look at XLF, look at the resistance that you're having right here at the 100-day to the Bollinger Band. But with this embedded reading, I have no reason not to still be bullish. So bullish I still am, and on breaks, until it loses that reading, I think the pros will buy. The same thing is going on in XLI, but not exactly the same. This is the first test of the 100 and the 200-day average in a Bollinger Band. I'll let somebody else want to own it at this level. I think it's time you step back from that. On the energy sector, if you can break down now under 80.05, I'd have all the reason to believe you can get back into the lower band here. We'll see if that happens. Momentum down, trend down, bias down. Don't want to get over that high. That could be a problem for the market. Then we take a look at GLD. I can see where it wants to go to the upper band, but tonight gold, as I said, is down. Well, I didn't say it. Gold was up $100 today an ounce. In the early evening trade, it gave back 30. It's down about 20 about 5 minutes ago from when I'm recording this. We'll see if it can hang on. Silver's gotten bullish again. I think the pros are going to nibble into the long side at 29.66. I think they'll be looking not to get under the 29.25. And no, that is not a trade wreck. That's what I think they'll try to do, and we'll see what the markets do from there. Could it get up here or the window envelope? There's a number I don't show you here. That's in my morning subscriber videos. I think the window envelope's more in play. Then we get to the copper. In the morning, well, now in China, and I got to go read if they've done it yet, they said their time at 9 in the morning, they had a special meeting taking place that's going to be broadcast. And they're going to make maneuvers in their economy to help it. I don't know what those maneuvers are. They didn't offer any more information. It's from the bigwigs. So we will see. Are they going to open the reserve requirement? Are they going to let the yuan float a little bit higher? Are they going to throw money at the economy? But any way you go, if they do things, it should benefit copper as they consume half the world's copper. And I'm reading how aggressive they're buying. I think it was Zambia today that came out and they said that they're producing a lot more copper, maybe 25% more than they did a year ago. And they've got some good mines. Nearly all of it's being taken by China. So interesting what's going on with that. Then we get to why would you want to trade BND or TLT into the Fed? That's up to you. As for the dollar, probably going to get a bid tonight in the U.S. dollar, but how much, I don't know, off the Chinese-U.S. meeting. But this is still acting bearish. The key is, can it get through this level? As I told you, if this market gets under that level and closes like that, you open up the door for the dollar index, which is really what this is based on, for the dollar index to get a fifth leg down, which we rarely get. I talk about that in price counts. I did it in my last report. That's why you might want to take a look at the stock report. It's pretty timely for what's going on right now. And last, in FXE, you're over the 18-day average. If you can stay like that, a little bit of upsides here, wherever that top Bollinger Band is could become a target. If you take out the lows of Monday, you're just flubbing around, not doing anything at that point. That's it. I'm Ira Epstein. Remember, take a look at the report that we have on the SPY and the S&P 500. It's on our website right there on the top left. You can't miss it. Go to iraepstein.com. You'll see an icon right here for you as well. I'm Ira. Have yourself a great evening.